Hello, everyone. Welcome to welcome to the Newo Wellness Podcast, a space to grow and nourish all aspects of self. I'm your host, Haley Rose. There was a poster that just fell and it kind of scared me, but I think I just have like this energy today that's just radiating off of me. And this poster just fell off the wall. But good evening to you all. I know we're running on Indian time here, but us Native people don't run on time. So that's it. That's all. Today was a good day. I don't know if you guys may or may not know, I was recently elected as the FSIN youth representative, and today I was sworn in. So I was honored by the FSIN today, and quite a few chiefs were there in PA. So it was a great experience, and it was just full of happiness and a lot of laughs, a lot of good medicine. So it's been a pretty eventful day for me, and I'm truly honored and blessed. And I have the Creator to thank, and I have our birth givers to thank, and to always acknowledge them as well. So before we get into today's podcast, today's episode, I did want to introduce you guys to our special guest here, but we will be talking about social media. And there's so much to say about social media right now. And I thought it would be a great discussion, especially to have Shaylin Naitauhau, who will be coming on here pretty quickly, talk about it with me and have this conversation, as our point of views about social media is a little different, because we weren't raised the same way when it came to technology and social media. So I thought our perspectives and our point of views contrasted quite nicely. So quoted from Shaylin herself, I'm just gonna say her little bio here, and don't get mad at me if I say it wrong, Shay. Kaskateu Masqua Isquea Nitsigasan. My parents gave me the name Shaylin McCauley. I married Alex Naitauhau. I am Woodland Cree with mixed ancestry, and I have 24 years of lived experience. I live on the lands of Treaty 6 territory, currently reside in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. My family originates beyond the difficult, wondrous Churchill River. Ooh, Matawi Sipi. I spent most of my adolescence living in Lac La Ronge, Saskatchewan. I am a daughter, sister, mother, wife, and woman helper. Esqueo. This is a hard one, Shay. Esqueo Owichahau Oyoak. I have a passion for language revitalization, culture continuity, embracing identity, and reviving my ancestral knowledge. Connecting to family roots, youth, and ceremony are important in my well-being. I welcome to you guys, Shaylin Naitauhau.
Thank you so much, Haley, for the introduction. I'm so honored to be here on the Newo Wellness Podcast. Thank you for that. I think you nailed it.
I know. I'm learning. So
I love it. I absolutely love that you're learning, and I encourage you to keep learning. I remember the day you came over to my house and you were like, "Where's your books? You're like, "Where's your Cree books? Open those books up right now."
Is that the accent that I was using?
Yeah, you came in fully plains.
That's a good one. Well, I think we should just dive right into it and start this conversation right around social media. Conversation. Don't start.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, see this energy. Hey, do you feel it too?
Yeah, we're gonna buckle it up with some humor too.
For sure. Okay. So actually, when I was living in Prince Albert, that's kind of when I got close to you. Hey.
You bet.
We kind of had different lifestyles there, but we were similar in many ways. But one of the things that I had access to was social media and the technology. Well, I wasn't on social media when I was 2 years old, but but you know what I mean? Like I had it around me. Yeah. And I know we were talking the other day about it, and the way that you were raised was a little bit different, because you didn't have as much social media as there is now.
Mhm.
And I know that I'm pretty sure we're in the same generation. Hey,
Yeah, like
I think we are.
definitely.
I don't know, but I feel like my day and age, it's everyone's on social media, and I think I kind of want to talk about like what it's like to grow up around it, and what it's like to not grow up around it. So
Mhm.
maybe you can explain, like, your journey with and without technology and social media.
Yeah, I can for sure. I think that technology, we can play off technology in different eras, right? Like technology, there's a this huge worldview on technology, right? But like for me, my technology was outside on the ground,
Mm,
creating and developing things on my own, that would have a good impact on my well-being and my
mhm,
development, mentally, physically, emotionally, right? um, I think creating things was my biggest technology. So being outside and playing with Mother Earth, that was like my biggest influence of tech. um, but in regards to television, um, online therapy, whatever, like in schools, they're bringing out kids could start going on computers. Like
mhm.
I remember being in grade 4, grade 5, and we were introduced to computers and how to work them.
Yeah.
And I just remember that was like the most exciting class because I
Mhm.
never had my hands on a computer. I never got to go on computer at all from home. And I remember like the big
Box
square
TV.
box computers my mom got,
Oh.
because she was going to go to school. She was going to go back to school. So she had gotten one of those from like a garage sale. And they had like the little games on there. And I learned how to play um, card games and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, there's so many different games that you could play on that big computer. And that was
Yeah.
just like, I lived for those little moments, to explore and expand and learn on technology that way. But I never really grew up with like a TV, until we were like, until I turned like, I don't know, I was like probably like 10 years old and we got our first TV.
Mhm.
So like, and we only had two channels. We didn't like, we went over to friends' houses to watch movies and TV, right? And so
Mhm.
it was all like, it was all just like sit around the living room and chat. That was our socializing, right? Now on social media in this day, it's all on the phones and it's all, we're connecting that way. So I think that that's the big shift in that era. But so what about you growing up? I know, like, I went over to your house to watch TV. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm with it. Like I love that.
Well, I honestly, like, I did watch TV and stuff like that when obviously when I was young. But I actually had access to technology right when I was in I think I want to say grade 5 or grade 6. I got my first phone, and there was already like Kick Messenger, Snapchat became a thing. Facebook was already huge. Like people were on BlackBerry phones.
Well, I remember like MySpace, but that was a hit,
But
not Facebook for me.
but here's the thing, it's like when I was young, I wasn't attached to it.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like constantly on my phone, on my gadget, even when say I'm at the table with family and we're eating, and I go into restaurants, say I go to Fuddruckers, or I go to, like a family restaurant, and I'm seeing these kids, like 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, and their brain is still developing on iPads and on iPhones. And it's almost like, it's a great way to distract a child and for them not to be loud and, like, for them to just be into the gadget and so you can visit or whatnot. But
The
that's
third parent.
that's when a kid's brain is developing.
You
That's
bet.
when a kid is learning, life and what it brings. And when I was like 12 years old, I had already gone to high school, and like Snapchat was widely used already, and there was kids like sending pictures that they shouldn't have been sending. And I had to see that stuff. I'm not like, I didn't do that, but like
Yeah. Dude, I don't even remember that. Like, I
but
didn't know Snapchat was a thing.
it's scary because it's normalized now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And like when we connect with one another, and when we want to contact someone, it's not a knock on the house door anymore. You know what I
Or
mean?
ring on the phone.
It's not like ring 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 beep 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 like hello. It's literally like just a text away.
You bet.
And these kids are forgetting how to communicate with each other. And I've seen this through with this pandemic, because that's all we had to do this pandemic was be on our phones. And that's why TikTok became a really big thing, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
really came to light because so many people were using it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different for me, because obviously I wasn't 2 or 3 years old, around social media. Like, I didn't have access to TikTok, or I wasn't watching YouTube videos all day. And I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for that because had I been, I don't think I would be able to speak the way I speak. I don't think that I would be able to really engage with another individual so well, because that gets stripped from a child.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah, exactly. I know for sure.
okay, say a kid's on their phone, they won't even acknowledge you when you get into the room, because they're so into their phone, they don't even know what's going on there and out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's about connection. It's about connection, and I think that it's really important that, like, let's say for example, our child is having a breakout, they're having a tantrum, they're falling apart. Our kids are. It's not about the kid is a bad child. It's not about that, or it's not about the parent is a bad parent. It's about the connection we're missing. To it's We're just missing connection with our children. We're replacing the interconnection that we should be making with our child, and replacing it with an iPad or a phone to de-escalate that tantrum. Like, when a kid is having a tantrum, usually we're finding ways to calm our child down, right? And usually it's a result of, let's quickly just give them this substitute, like, let's just give them this real quick, instead of slowing down, collecting our thoughts, collecting our emotions, and really making that connection with our children. Mia, can you go in out there, please? Thank you. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's all about connection, and I think we're really missing that deeper connection, in interpersonal, because like it's all just about on the phone now. We're missing that. It's the phone is taking away that more sensitive connection.
It's hard to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty for this.
Oh
I
yeah, I
am.
think we
I
all are.
am 100% that I can say that, I forget sometimes, how much time I'm actually spending on my phone, scrolling through Instagram, or scrolling through Facebook, or TikTok, whatever it might be. And like, I honestly lose my energy. And I think I trick my brain to think, okay, I have nothing to do, or have a little bit of time, and I'm scrolling through my phone, on social media, and I
Mhm.
become lazy.
Oh yeah, it's a lower.
So,
It's a lower
when
connection.
you could be doing something outside, going for a nice walk, or even a phone call, or going to meet a friend, something, outdoors. I lose that.
Yeah, you
Because
bet.
I'm scrolling through social media, I suddenly see something, maybe something that, triggers me, something that bothers me, or something, randomly comes up, and I'm just sitting there for hours when I
Mhm.
could be, doing work, or sending emails, whatever it might be doing, and I lose that motivation just because I chose to go on social media.
Yeah. It's definitely a huge distraction for our reality, right? And there's a lot of things on there that aren't a reality, which is
Mhm.
one of the questions that we are going to discuss. But it's also like there's a lot of things out there that, like, technology in general is to lower our vibration. It's like when there's a computer in your bedroom and that's turned on and not unplugged, it's sending off signals to prevent you from getting a good sleep. Even
Mhm.
just all the network and everything around us that's based on technology is lowering our
Mhm.
vibration to function on a day-to-day basis, right? And
Yeah.
I have a little thing on my phone. It's a light. I think it's like blue light or yellow light. But it's to take away that uh, it's just a yellow light that comes on a certain time of day, that doesn't give off, so my eyes and my brain is so overstimulated. And like, I recommend anyone going in your settings and turning that mode on, because it's a good one.
So I
Well, yeah,
recommend
because
it.
well, I totally do, because like it's to stop this, like your cerebral cortex or whatever it is in your brain. It prevents you from turning your, trying to go to bed. It decreases the melatonin in your signal, your brain to shut
Mhm.
down and to go to sleep. If you're constantly looking at your phone and it's like midnight, you can't even barely go to sleep after you've been scrolling through your phone for a couple of hours. Like, I don't know if
I'm
anyone
guilty of
else
that
feels that
too.
way, but I sure feel that way.
Yeah, I like when you said there though that it's important to not sleep with any, social media around, or in social media, but like gadgets around you, because it takes away, that energy where you're supposed to be getting that good rest. And like you said, like those vibrations, because that's what it is, right? Like it's
Yeah.
the same explanation as how we like make phone calls and have Bluetooth. It's still all working.
Yeah, it's like radioactivity. It's the
Yeah.
D. I think they're called DTMs or something. I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast. But
Yeah. But I know I know there's a lot of good things that come from social media. And I guess it does balance with, some bad things about it. But one of the things that, I've experienced with social media is comparing myself to the people that I see or I come across on my social media, with these filters that people have now. And you need a filter to feel pretty, or you need to have like whatever it might be on your face. You might need to saturate your face or clarity. I don't know what it is, but you need that to post it. Why is that? Why isn't it a normal thing to just be able to post a natural picture of yourself with no filter?
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's affecting the way that we see ourselves, because we start seeing these other people posting themselves with clear skin and shaped bodies, and we think that we have to look that way, but we're beautiful the
yeah,
way that we are, because we're made the way that we are created. That's the person that you are supposed to be, and nobody else is like you.
yeah.
Nobody else is
Woo!
going to look like you.
Yeah, baby.
And I like, I used to even, edit my photos to whatever, make my face a different color, or, whatnot. But the reality of it is beyond that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what social media does to us. And especially like young kids having to go through that. See,
Hmm.
they're 10, 12 years old and they're already saying, clear skin, clear, whatever it might be, perfect big lips. I know these filters like put, I don't know, bigger lips on you, bigger eyes. And it almost makes you like what's this word? I can't think of this word, but it's just
the influence
not
of the influence of all of that, filters, whatever, just filters in general, mainly, all of that influence has structured some young women, men, and people in general, structured their brain, rewired their brain to think, okay, well, these filters aren't doing it anymore. Maybe I can get a boob job. Maybe I can get a butt lift instead. Maybe I can get lip fillers or Botox instead. I think like all of that was a big hit somewhere back in the day. And then it's like all coming back now again, you know, and it's being recreated through these filters. And then sometimes filters aren't just doing it for people, so they move on to other things. And like, don't get me wrong, like that's not a bad thing. Try those things out, you know, YOLO. But it's sometimes it's we're getting a lot of the times, like, where's the balance when you're choosing to do that to yourself, you know? Like, are you doing it uh, because it boosts your confidence, or are you doing it because you're not confident already? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I just want like a lot of the women and men out there to be comfortable and confident
Yeah.
without those filters, or without
Mhm.
getting restructuring their bodies, because baby,
I
we're
think the same thing goes though, like even, just with the filters and those things, like the same thing happens with just with seeing the way that people live their lives,
Mhm.
and then you compare yourself to that, like, oh, I should be doing this, oh, I should be doing that, and it breaks you down.
You bet.
Do you know what I mean? And especially being like young and seeing these, celebrities or whatnot living these, like unrealistic lives, because we're
Yeah.
just normal, regular people that we just live normal lives.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's what social media creates. And this is how that anxiety is created,
Hmm.
self-esteem issues, because we're comparing ourselves to something that's not even real.
Yeah.
And a lot of social media isn't real. Like the stuff, that I post may not be that day, that hour, that exact time where I snap that picture. You know what I mean? And we think that that's actually the way it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I think that we forget, that what social media creates, especially in our children. And actually, quite a few weeks ago, well, you were there, and there's that young boy. Do you remember him?
Where? It's just kidding.
Where at my little family dinner there.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. The Rock
My
Man.
sister here, actually, she's on.
Hey.
She asked, like she asked her or his mother,
Yeah.
how did you raise your kid to be so intelligent? How did you raise your kid to be, so smart? And
She said, I didn't let him watch TV.
I didn't. And then when I asked him, I said, well, when did you get a phone? He didn't even have a phone till I think grade 9.
Yeah.
And that says something, because this boy, or not even a boy, this man,
Yeah, he
is
was a
so culturally aware. Do you know what I
so
mean?
yeah.
So he was so comfortable and so confident in being indigenous. And he was powerful, the way that he talked, the way that he could interact with people. He walked through the door and he would say hello and look at everybody's eyes and shake their hand. And why is that? And his mother said, I didn't let him watch TV. I didn't let him, have social media.
Yeah,
And,
super
and that should
connected,
say something.
super connected and aware of himself, and just reality, you know. Um Super in tune with the alignment of how society is, and
Hmm.
and just really holds that he's so humble about
Yeah.
how he was raised and the things that he knows, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and to share what people need to hear, and to keep other things to himself. It was good
Mm-hmm.
to meet him. Yeah.
I know.
I
And I
was like,
think
hey man, are you a rock licker? Because I am. Yeah, it was so awesome.
well, as Indigenous people though, that's not our way.
Yeah.
Because we are taught around our land and around our nature to grow up on the land,
Mm-hmm.
learn about the land. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and I think social media, like when this pandemic hit, that was all that we had to do. That was all that I did. Do you know
Yeah,
what
I
I
was
mean?
out there cooking eggs on the barbecue.
You see,
Seriously, man.
I was cooking eggs.
No.
But
What?
something that even too, I know, okay, there is good things. Like social media allows us, to talk to people. We see the news, we hear things, all these different stories, but there especially in high schools, elementary schools, social media is affecting the way that kids interact with each other and the way that
Mm-hmm.
kids see each other,
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
because there's bullying and these things that are being said on these social media platforms is affecting these youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, when we think about our mental health, and we think about how much time we spend on social media, like hours.
Yep.
How do we change that? How do we stop doing that and start, actually living in the real world, and being present with each other, and starting to talk to one another,
Yeah.
instead of, spending all that time on social media, when we could just be living and interacting with each other face to face,
Yeah.
telling each other what's going on to your face.
Yeah. I think kids
And
these days have never felt so much disconnection, you know, and I think that like there's a lot of um young people crying out for help on social media,
Mhm.
and people are recognizing it as, oh, they're just looking for attention. Oh, this Facebook isn't a journal entry, and that's not the aspect of it. It's they're trying to find connection, deeper connections through this handle, and it's just not the place that's creating that safe space. What
Mhm.
I choose to post on social media, especially Facebook and Instagram, I try to do it out of positivity, you know,
Mhm.
and make it a reflection of my real life, like what I'm utilizing in my life. I will try to post out there, to be the better crowd, to try to post good stuff on social media instead of negativity, you know, because there's a lot of it out there. There's enough out there of it. There's not enough positivity and connection, and so
Mhm.
I'm trying to make those connections through social media, and one of the that's one of the proactive ways that I use social media, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I see a lot of young people trying to make connection through social media, and we're so wired for connection, you know, and it's we need these relationships, these real life relationships. It's so much easier to look at your phone than repair a relationship in person, you know, because we don't know how to anymore most of the time, because it's just we create these walls in relationships, and we get triggered to go back on the phone, you know, and
Mhm.
handle a lot of our things through our phone. Whenever we get into arguments with friends, family, or partners, or just in relationships in general, we prefer to send a text rather than talk in person, right? And a lot of that
Mhm.
is fear based, and anxiety that's created through utilizing a device to create that barrier, right? I think that's important to identify.
Taylor Jade Stone said, do you ladies think social media has brought family together or further apart? And then she said, I find that most times when I'm around family that I'm on my phone during a visit, so does social media distance us from people closest to us?
I think it depends, hey? Like, I definitely, and I totally agree with Taylor. Like, it does create that gap in communication, and that barrier in communicating and healthy relationships. But I also think that social media and technology has benefited us in ways where if we are traveling and we're having distance relationships with friends and family, it creates a space for us to connect, right? Whereas
Yeah.
we got the FaceTime now,
Yeah.
like we got the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can connect with anyone all over the world. But I just think that there's a time and place to put it down when we
Yeah.
are connecting with our family truly in person.
Well, I think when she mentions like does it bring family together or further apart? I think when we had mentioned, like some of the things that we see on social media, the things that we hear, that affects our relationships with family, with spouses, partners, whoever it might be, friends. It affects that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we believe the stuff that we see.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that one post there? Like it's
Yeah.
yeah. And
Do you
then
know what I mean?
we base our conversations off of social media most of the time, right? Hey, that girl was just she broke up with her baby daddy. Now she's back with him. Go read the comments. Like, it's just like too deadly of wired for that, acknowledgement of social media, like what was on it today, what's going to be on it tomorrow, what was on it yesterday.
See, and the thing about, and I actually try do this as much as I can, but when I'm having, a conversation with family or I'm with friends and we're all together there and, we're there to have a good time, to just, put away the social media and put it down because it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be there, when you're done the conversation or when you're done visiting. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
we don't take advantage of the time that we have with people. And sometimes I'll think about it as, say I'm sitting with a child and I'm just on my phone.
Yeah.
When I could be talking to that child, teaching that child.
Yes.
Let's count to 3. Let's count to 5. Where's your eyes? Like little activities instead of, letting them be on a gadget, watching things that probably aren't appropriate or probably things that, they shouldn't be listening to or are watching. And the same thing goes with like elders. And sometimes like when I just need to take a break and take a step back and like actually just really think about like, Haley, like maybe, you are on your phone too much around the people around you. I can't even like answer somebody when I have my phone in like in my eyes are just on my phone.
Yeah.
And when it gets to the point where people are talking to you and you can't even look up and acknowledge them or answer them, then you know that you need to just put it down respectfully instead of saying, hey, give me a second. I'm just blah, blah, blah. I'm just finishing this, and say, this person is standing right here. And whoever you're talking to on the phone or whatever you're watching, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And especially like with what Taylor said here is, like when your mother's talking to you or your father's talking to you or whoever it might be, and they're trying to get your attention and you're saying, hold on, mom, hold on. You know that feeling of what it's like to be trying to talk to somebody and they're scrolling through social media and it's almost like What's so important on there that you can't answer me right now?
One of the words that I use every single day is what you just said. Like, honestly, I like it gets kind of emotional because like that's a reality, you know, and it's especially with kids these days. I hate to put a label on just them, but there's so much of a heavy influence
Mm-hmm.
with, like, you know, you got to have a phone, you got to have this for popularity most of the time too, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
everybody's on the phone, everybody's on this.
It's normalized. That's
You
what it is.
bet. You
It's
bet.
a normal thing now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Michael LaRocca says, "Do you find people are rude on social media, but when in front, he seems so nice?" That's a good question.
Yeah. What do you
I
think?
Here's the thing. I've heard this before, but it's easier. It's easy to say things on social media because it's
Mhm.
almost like a blanket. Like they can't come to you and attack you in that moment, but you say it a disrespectful thing to somebody's face, especially an Indigenous person, you'll get whacked in the face. Do
Yeah,
you
if
know
someone
what I
ever
mean?
said something rude to me, I'm like, phone me up.
And
Like,
that's the thing. And this is, well, I always come back to the youth perspective, but I know that, this is an adult thing too, where, people are very rude or negative on social media. And then when you greet that person or you get a chance to communicate with them, you're like, oh, you're really nice. And it makes you wonder, like, who are you though? Like, which one are you? Are you the person that you portray to be on the social media,
yeah.
or are you the person who you are in real life,
Hmm.
face to face?
Yeah.
How would you answer that?
I think I've come across a few people like that, you know, and I just, whenever I meet them in person, it's like so many things can be said through a just with having that emotion at that time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So a lot of people are like, how they respond is a reflection of how they're feeling at that time. And
Mm,
whatever it may have been, the topic or whatever, that's definitely a reflection of the feeling. Like their expression is a reflection of what they're feeling, right? And so when we come into person, we just both set those aside and have compassion in the moment, right? um, and usually if you're with them for a certain amount of time in person and they come across that way again, then you really see the true colors. But
mhm.
he says, that's what I was thinking too. Most people don't know what it feels like to be punched in the face. Yeah, honestly, if someone were to say something to me, I'm like, you know what? If you want to have a deeper conversation, let's talk.
Yeah,
But
just
like,
communicate about it.
it's like everything needs to be exposed
Mhm.
to get a point across sometimes in a very derogative way or very discriminative, um, you know?
Way, yeah.
Yeah.
See, and the thing about that is, um, I think I was always told this when I was a kid growing up from my mother. She used to always tell me, you better watch what you post on social media because it's going to be there forever.
I'll bet. Yeah.
You can delete it, you can hide it, get rid of it, but no matter what, somebody's going to see it before you
Mm,
delete it. It's always going to be there. Somehow it's always going to be in the systems because this is how social media is.
yeah.
So I've always, personally, I've always watched what I post, watched what I said to other people. Just, little conversations, little comments that I made. I've always made sure that I watch what I say, that it's not
Mhm.
negative, and I say it in a positive way because it's always going to, come back to you.
Yeah, well, you bet. And
People remember that. You
yeah.
know what I mean? That first interaction or whatever, you might make a new friend on Facebook that say, and then you see a comment they make.
Hmm.
That's who you think they are now.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I think people have to remember that
Yeah.
and take that into consideration before they post. I know it sucks. I know it sucks to, always have to watch what you post because, you don't want to post the wrong thing, but that's not what social media is for. And I think people forget what social media is actually made for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Really.
Is it made to, be rude to other people? Is it made to break down other people? Is social media there to, portray a life that's not even real, to,
Mm-hmm.
post things that you don't even practice?
Yeah.
And we forget that, right? And we can't believe everything that we see on social media because we don't know. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Yeah, you just never know what's going on behind the phone or behind the computer screen, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's scary too, is like when I think about, and just because like, man, like right when I hit the age where I was able to get a phone, like I had, all that access or whatnot, but it already changed my, like when I have my own kids, I'm going to be like really, weary of the things that they do on social media. I'm going to watch the things that they do. And it's not even like a lack of privacy, but it's making sure that my kid is not, hearing or seeing the wrong things, not getting bullied, not saying or doing things on social media that they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because we have to protect that.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's okay to take the phone away. It's
Yeah.
okay to just put it away for a week. And it's like almost like the end of the world when we have to do that.
Yeah.
When, you know what I mean? It's difficult for us to just, take one day away from our phone. It's almost impossible. It's almost like, I know if I leave the house and I forget my phone, I'm like, I'm missing something. It's my phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Why is that?
Or sometimes you're getting in trouble for leaving your phone at home
Mm-hmm.
because like you're just going out for a couple of minutes, like why can't I just leave my phone at home?
Mm-hmm.
Like like that's for me. Like I don't have I don't base my life on attachments to things. I don't try not to become attached to things. And my phone is definitely one of them. One of the things that I could live without it. Like it's good to take a break from social media in general. Like I see a lot of people out there saying, "Hey, I'm back from my break," or I'm going on a break, and so they like delete their Facebook for a bit, or they just stop posting for a bit. Or some people, like I've taken my app off my phone for quite some time. Like I think the longest I've went
Mhm.
recently was a year and a half, like
Do you
for
realize
half a
that you
year.
feel better after you do that? Like when
Oh
you're
yeah.
actually, you feel better?
Yeah, and like it's the amount of, like, honestly, when we open our phone to do something, I bet the first thing everyone does is click right on the number one app that you go on all the time. It's either Facebook or Instagram. You got to open that quickly just to scroll, and then you get your fix, and then you get off. And
It's a
it's
distraction,
such
right?
a
Like
huge distraction.
even when I'm talking to you right now and my phone's buzzing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a huge distraction.
And there's
You
things
know,
to get away from that. Like, even like how your phone monitors you on how long you go on a certain app, or people don't even really pay attention to that, right? But it's all about, I think self-regulation is an important lesson in social media. Are you self-regulating
Mhm.
how much you go on your phone? Or is it just an addiction? Like I don't want to call anyone saying they're an addict or anything to their phone, but like it can be that way. It can lead up to being an addiction, whereas we're getting so overstimulated that we just need to be doing that or have that. And I think a lot of kids struggle with that nowadays, especially the young ones who get the
Mhm.
iPads um, from ages 2 and up now. I think that's the youngest I've seen a kid on a phone is probably 1 to 2 years old. They're on an
Mhm.
iPad or a phone, and they're so overstimulated, the point where you need to take it away. They're freaking out. Life is over for them. They
Mhm.
just don't know what to do after that. And that's where it's important for parents to get on their level and make that connection and validate those feelings, you know.
Mhm.
But another thing is I wanted to share that was important to backtrack a bit is location. If our location settings are on our phone, this is the freaky thing. If we take a picture that day and that picture where it was taken can be sent off to like Google, can be sent off to social media handles, the internet. It can be sent off places. And I've actually went on Google and I searched my name up and it showed a picture that I took on my phone because my location settings were on. And it was scary. So check your location settings. Like I just want to say that about I just want to say that about technology nowadays, because it's most people have their location settings on their Snapchat, right? To find where a person is or to share where they are. Your pictures are being posted in a very wide span of the world and being exposed. So
I actually have like location on for like my friends, hey, because it's like a safety net for me.
yeah.
So, but I'm not talking like to the whole world. Do you know what I mean? Like the difference. And I don't want to say like, to have your location completely off, because it is, especially as Indigenous people, like this is something that you should take into consideration is, have your location off for somebody that you trust or somebody that's close to you. So
absolutely.
they don't know where you are. You're not answering your phone for a while. Okay, well,
yeah, and you could
backtrack right here.
like you could backtrack, like, oh, okay, this person was there last, right? So yeah, there is definitely pros and cons. It's like to a lot of that, and like we've kind of scattered out on a lot of the pros and cons throughout this conversation. But I think that I don't know how many people are watching and if they want to comment some of their pros and cons to social media.
I also had a question for the audience about, like what is real to you? Like what is do you believe everything that you see on social media? Like is when you see it, are you like, oh my God, yes, this is true? Or does things go through your head where, you say, okay, maybe this is fake or this is unrealistic, or like, I'm even wondering like how people, when say they see an article, okay, maybe like CBC or I don't know, like some news channel, and they're making a report or something, like, are we supposed to believe everything that's coming from that? Do you know what I mean? Like, are people actually believing this? So we have to remember like what is real and what is not, where the information is coming from. And do you know what I mean? Because there has to be that balance. And so I kind of want to know if, like, what you think, like, what is, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's your preference about that? You're just sitting there like, I don't know.
Oh, you asked me that? Oh, I thought you were asking the audience that. Sorry.
Oh, no, you.
No, yeah, totally. Like, I think that like a lot nowadays, people, let's say politics, for example, they propaganda, like when they're advocating and they're trying to accumulate votes or whatever, they will actually post, they'll go against each other and they will make a huge post, like say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna really like point out liberal and conservative here, but say a conservative made this huge post about liberals and everybody thought it was the liberals that posted that. The conservatives can totally scheme out a bunch of like nonsense about the liberals, and people believe that the liberals are saying that. You know what I mean? And so there is a lot of that controversy, like with
things can be turned around real quick.
Yeah, you bet. And like they're like, what? They're actually doing that? Or and it's like they're just going against each other and posting like shit talking each other pretty much, right? So
I think at the end of the day, we just have to remember that, we're here to encourage each other, and that's a basic teaching of as Indigenous people is, the TP teaching, respect.
Yeah, humility.
and we have to take that into consideration when we're on social media. And that's something that, I want to tell you guys is, when you're on social media, or you're posting something, you're liking something, whatever it might be, always remember that we want to be respectful, that, we want to either support one another, encourage one another, uplift, leave a nice comment, a positive comment, or maybe even a positive message that day to do that, right? Because,
Mm-hmm.
it only takes a couple seconds. It only takes maybe a minute to, leave a nice reply or a nice response to somebody. And, that can make somebody's day. That can make somebody feel good for the whole entire day is one little message. So, if there's one way that we can utilize social media in a positive way, it's, always leaving a good comment to somebody or posting something that, is going to impact somebody in a great way, in a good way. So I am going to give you the full screen here to maybe say a few words, give a little bit of advice, and we'll end this podcast pretty quick here.
Okay, thank you so much, Haley. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, thank you, everyone, whoever tuned in. I really appreciate your guys' listening ears. And I really appreciate Haley and Newo Wellness for welcoming on the podcast. I hope to be on again and to see you guys in a future podcast. I just wanted to share that hi, Allagene. My intent is to never offend anyone, but it's to be authentic. And my intent is to share what's in my heart and for it to be heard. And when we put our most precious resources, like our future generations, in small spaces every day, we damn better make sure that those souls are holding we're holding safe spaces for those people, and we're supporting them and giving love to them because they matter. And I think that rarely does a response make something better, and it's all about connection. And so make sure you get those the true connection from your heart to another one's heart, in person and on the ground. I love you all. Peace.
Oh, hey! Thanks, Shay, for coming on. I'll see you in the backstage there. But thank you so much. Hi, and Asplin, everyone who was able to tune into today's podcast. A little discussion about social media and technology. So I hope you took something away from it. There's a lot of good things about social media, and there's quite a few bad things, but there's always a balance in the middle. So there will be another episode next Wednesday, 8 p.m. CST on Indian time. So tune in, and thanks for watching. Peace and love.